Start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a full board today, so Carol, you'll be the alternate. Any amendments to the agenda?
We have one. Marcy Gray would like to read a letter that her and her husband have written, and I've asked her to bring it up after you guys have made your decision for the STR.
Approval of minutes for the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Also on that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our first item on the agenda is a hearing for the Murphy short-term rental. The Murphys are the representative present.
Thank you all for giving me a chance to present. Thank you for your service to this county. My name is Paul Parsons. This is my wife, Nicole, right over here. We partnered with my daughter and son-in-law, Becca and Michael Murphy, who are owners of record for the cabin being reviewed today for short-term rental permit. Michael is joining us by Zoom. I hear that he's online.
I am here if you guys can hear me.
Good. Michael, good to have you on, that you'll answer questions if any are directed to you. As we say in our application, the Wet Mountain Valley has represented quiet and respite for our family ever since we bought our home in town in 2013. We moved here full-time in 2016. With our encouragement and support, the Murphys purchased the cabin in Antelope Valley in November of 2019. After working together to finish the inside, we've enjoyed the serenity of the place and have loved sharing it as a retreat for family and friends. We now want to see if it's possible to make a modest short-term rental income while offering others the gift of quiet and peace that the cabin has given to us. Just a note to clarify, the Murphys are the owners of record. Our partnership with them has come in the form of purchasing needed materials to finish the inside of the cabin, doing as much of that labor as we could, and being the local caretakers of the place in between their visits. For their sake and for our own, we have a vested interest in maintaining the integrity and the tranquility of that property, the neighborhood that it's in, and our entire county, because this is our home. I want to invite my wife, Nicole, to say a few more words.
Hello. As Paul mentioned, we have been doing the caretaking for this cabin the last few years, which means maintenance projects, hosting the dozens of family and friends who've been using it as a retreat on occasion, and therefore managing the calendar of those folks and doing the cleaning. With all of this, we kind of know the basics of what it takes to do a project like this, but we have been hesitant to move in the direction of short-term rental because we just know that there's a world of difference between hosting people and inviting strangers into your space. I spent most of my 20s working all over Colorado at guest ranches and the old-fashioned B&Bs, bread and breakfast. And I have personally seen how vacation guests can be a mixed bag. There's been a lot that has changed since 30 years, even if human nature may not necessarily be one of those things. So all of this has made having a professional manager really absolutely important for us in this situation. Despite our experience, it would take us years to get fully up to speed with what we would need to do this project right. So we needed support from someone who knows the vacation rental market in this specific place, who is keeping up with the tools and the technology that's available to hosts, and who has a track record of marketing and attracting mature guests who are a good fit for the ethos of our valley. And all this while sharing what for us is really a deeply held value of creating a sincere and warm expression of hospitality. And so Dark Skies Vacations really bridges that gap for us between what we know and how to really do this right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tyler.
We've got a little relay team, we'll keep it fast. I'm Charlie Ellison, owner of Dark Skies Vacations. We have 10 properties, if you count 3 of Maddie's Lofts downtown. And you've heard me talk about responsible hosting, and I've heard you say that we've built some good confidence, and we haven't had any bad or any issues that have popped up. And I've mentioned the app because I remember Mary and I had a conversation about hosting and what does that mean. So I don't want to rely on a piece of paper. And we were at a couple months ago, we were talking about a mobile app, and that's been rolled out. And my subject matter expert, Carolyn from the tourism board, is here, and she's going to dive into it in detail, because I think the key message is 2 things: is that it's just-in-time information as opposed to just saying a list of 10 rules. Because the person that's interested in ATV probably doesn't need to. If they're not, then they won't read all the regulations about that. Yet if you overwhelm them with information and rules, it gets diluted. And so, what we're going to pass out is both the guest book, which is not in your package because this is a draft that we're still working on and making some decisions on, and input we get from you, we could. And then the other handout, there's more copies of that, shows the app. And I think a key part of the app is not only one of the challenges is you book with one person, and then that person is responsible for more people. And even though this is a small listing, the message can get diluted. And so with the way this app works is that the person that gets it can also extend it to his other guests in his group, and then they have access to that same information. And when they do that, they're logging in. You've got your email address and phone number in the vast majority of the cases, and so that helps create a sense of buy-in and accountability. But you want to do this? Is Carolyn?
I think you may all remember me. I was here last month. You're starting to be a regular here at these meetings. Anyway, the guest guide that is being circulated is simply a draft. I still need to make a few changes once I confer with the property owners so that we're sure the information in there is accurate as far as items inside the home and using the dishwasher. It's amazing how many phone calls you get about how do I use the dishwasher. So anyway, keep in mind that's a work in progress. The app is the other little multi-page item, and these are screenshots of what a guest would see. And so I did this from my home out in Cuerna Verde. So if you can see that second little screenshot, you can see I am very close to their property. If I could go cross country, it would probably take me even less time, but to get there. But according to Google, it would take me 9 minutes to get to their property from my house if there was an issue at the property that needed to be addressed in person. And I kind of went through here to show you the type of information that's under each tab in the app. So there's also a property guide in this app. It will mirror the printed guest guide that you have, plus probably some more timely information. As you can see, the first thing under property information is fire ban information. This includes a link to the Wet Mountain Fire Protection, and I can update that for all of the properties that we have simply by making one change. All of the apps are linked together so that people will have the current fire ban information and what they can and cannot do. Obviously house rules, where they can park, things of that nature. The other thing that we really like is there's a button for contact hosts. So people don't have to find that printed guest guide to find a phone number, or maybe they're en route here. And as we all know, GPS doesn't always take you where you're going, or it tells you you're there and you're not. So they can easily contact us either by phone, text, or email through the app. Let's see. With the all-terrain vehicle information, we do include a link to the entire ordinance. Somebody wants to read, I think it's all 4 pages. They're welcome to do so. The guidelines for being a good neighbor are taken from the good neighbor policy. I think probably I copied and pasted it. And so you can see we can include a variety of information, things to do when they're here. Obviously, I didn't display everything in that screenshot because it goes on and on. Charlie already mentioned, if you go to the 3rd page, that the primary guest, once he or she downloads this app, can then add everyone else who will be staying as a guest at that property. So they have the access to all of this information, as well as the guest who made the reservation. And we encourage everyone to do that because it's no fun being the person that forwards all the emails that they get from us over the time that they book a property to when they stay. And plus, then you're not constantly being the go-between. Under enhance your stay, guests can also add what we call upsells. If we have a hot tub at the property, they can add that to their reservation and pay the fee and sign the waiver and release form. If they're bringing a pet with them, they can add that, pay the fee. The Murphys and Parsons are limiting pets to 1 dog at a time at the property. We generally, our rule of thumb is 2, no more than 2, but they've chosen that they want only 1. And then, of course, we include local information about places to eat, the grocery store, sunflower foods, things like that, that guests to West Cliff and Silver Cliff may not be aware of. So that's kind of what the app does for us. Is there any questions?
And for that, I just want to talk a little bit about marketing because the septic systems will allow up to 6 people, but the owners have decided to try to stick to 4. And that way, if there's a young adult or a young child there, then we're well within the range. And the other thing we're planning on doing is have as much as possible 4-day minimum and price it that way and market primarily through our direct advertising and through VRBO, because VRBO tends to be more mature demographic and longer stays. So with that, I'll quarterback question for now. That works, Chairman?
That's fine. We'll let you sit down.
Okay.
Okay, we're letters sent out to adjoining property owners. Okay, do we have any responses?
We had 1.
1? Okay.
Would you like that read?
Yes.
Okay, this letter was sent out by Janet Williams. She's a seasonal resident. Her letter says, "Dear Custer County Planning and Commissions, thank you for providing me with an opportunity to express my views on the short-term rental application for Lot 68, Antelope Valley. First, let me acknowledge the positive. I recognize the income potential short-term rentals can provide for the property owner, community retailers, and in addition, enhance lodging options for tourists. Obviously, these are favorable attributes. However, there are also negative side effects associated with an increased volume of strangers in residential communities. While short-term rentals may recognize a return on investment, most on the adverse side effects are borne by the immediate neighbors who gain little to nothing in return. I suggest that short-term rentals are a good fit for commercial or mixed-use districts, but I believe they are not appropriate for residential neighborhoods, with an exception for owner-occupied properties. As an adjacent property owner to the short-term rental prospect, my concerns center around the loss of sense of community safety and potential risk to the neighborhood, arising from an influx of visitors who have no stake in our community. The main issues are public safety, excessive traffic and noise, and unleashed, unattained pets. Fire threat is high. The vandalism is also possible given the extent of royal surroundings where homes are scattered and no one is present on site to monitor behavior or verify the number of guests. The use of professional property management services, limits on guest occupancy, pets, vehicles, and household rules provide some measure of oversight. However, even the most conspicuous hosts can't control what happens during a short-term stay, especially with a steady turnover of guests who are not thoroughly vetted. I imagine the task of monitoring properties, enforcing policies, and responding to reported security incidents can be time and labor intensive, and is probably largely dependent on the efforts of local government resources. Property managers and rental unit owners can do little to mitigate damage after the fact, other than prohibit a bad apple from returning. Another drawback to short-term property rentals is the potential negative effect on community housing options, surrounding property values and home buyer interest. Given a choice, I believe most home buyers prefer to purchase property in a community of full-time residents, where people are more vested in one another's lives. The challenge for governing units is to balance the rights of homeowners with the community's best interests, taking into consideration the values and concerns of neighbors and other community members who may only experience the negative side effects associated with short-term rentals. I believe in communication with the co-owners of 36 Victorian Way and with the Custer County Zoning and Planning Office. All parties have been helpful in answering questions and/or providing information. That said, I assert that I am not in favor of non-owner occupied short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods. However, I respect the due diligence process and anticipate that any future concerns will be recognized and appropriately addressed by all relevant parties. Sincerely, Janet Williams. Yes.
Comments from the public. If there's none.
I have one. You mentioned that the application is for only the 2 bedrooms for people, but that you would accept a 5th or 6th person potentially. Why not just make the application itself for 3 bedroom and 6 people to begin with?
Well, our thought there was that, this was just 2 bedrooms. And-
Right.
And so it's 2 bedrooms, but if someone had a 3-year-old that had a sleeping bag or stuff on the couch, then we're still within, so I think the application is for 6.
It is not.
And for, oh,
And potentially in the future, you could put a futon or a pull-out couch in that main bedroom or the main sitting room. And so I would just,
actually, that was an oversight. We would, I don't know if it's called, amended to 6.
Yeah, because the on the application, it says for the septic system, it's for 2 bedrooms and 4 people.
the application, but the actual septic permit, which I saw, says it's a 3 bedroom, 6 person septic system.
So it does give them an option to go up that high, but I was under the understanding you wanted to stay with the 2-bedroom, 4 people, so.
I was just pointing it out, that
No, Mayor, you're right, and I would prefer to have that option if we can, even though we're going to market it as 4 people.
I think the fact that the septic has the capacity that the house is not really comfortable for more than that. That there's, but with the recognition that occasionally we may have somebody who has a small child, that there's enough capacity, but that wouldn't be our desired request or the way we advertise. But basically it was an oversight between those two. The way we got it in.
In this subdivision, are there covenants?
There is a covenant, there is no HOA. And I believe the covenant has no wording in
They
it.
probably sunsetted them.
You have the anticipation of how many weeks a year you'd like to rent it.
Great question. I think that our expectation is about a third of the year, if we had that, that would be primarily, summer use. Although the fall is also kind of lovely out there, but I think that was sort of our expectation to be like 120 days a year, we would anticipate.
So your family use is gonna be off season.
Yeah,
Your
it's
family
maybe
use.
in some use with it, yes.
How many nights has it been occupied by your family?
By our family, it's been, it's been about a third of the year.
266 cabin occupied nights in the last 3 years.
For between 20 and 22 at this point, in 2022, and then late 2020 is when things were finished enough for people to actually visit.
I'm sorry, say again, what number?
266 over the last 3 years.
266 nights that we had family or friends or ourselves staying in the cabin.
266. Wow, 3 years. But now you're hoping to rent it 120 days a year.
That would be our desire.
Okay. What are the questions for the planning commission? Skip.
I've noticed on I'm sorry, it's difficult to read your escape map. What the information was cut off. I'm thinking it's what people have to email to the office.
Is that the one in the house or out by the neighborhood?
Outside of the neighborhood.
Yeah, it did get cut out a little bit. It's about 1/10 of a mile shy of 69. It's like a big arrow there, and then he's right on the edge. And that's a draft. We'll clean that up.
Also, in the case of fire extinguishers, on your with a different map, you got 3 and the application you say 2.
We added a third.
You have to, okay. I just want to make sure you have it. Right.
Well, there's 8 surrounding adjoining neighbors, if I'm reading this correctly. And so, was any of the letters returned back? Everybody got the letters?
As far as the deal with this one, yeah, those received their insurance.
Only one was that.
Looking at the aerial map, it looks, and according to their application, only 2 of those lots are occupied, correct?
Little corner.
Yeah.
That looks like just the room spot. And the one across the street.
Yes. Okay.
No, Martin and Green.
Oh, okay.
Those look like the only buildings there are there would be adjoining the some down the street. And I can see houses on those lots. So I mean, you've got a lot of lots, not too many residences. Built. Further questions from the bank, Bill?
Are your property lines delineated?
Well, roads are 2, 3. And the other is pretty clear. We're mowing around the cabin. Appropriate, but it'd be real easy to mark those 2 other angles.
Between Kelly and Williams,
I'm sorry,
that would be the lot line between Kelly and Williams.
I don't know the neighbors, but it would be between the 2 rows of Sierra and Victorian Way.
Yeah, something like that.
Same.
Skip.
That Williams, that's who broke away.
Right, yeah.
She's from Minnesota.
Okay.
That's the one.
Okay, further questions from the planning commission? Recommendations to the commissioners?
I have one more question, I'm sorry.
Yes, go there.
Well, this is Doc Whitehaven, but this is not in Port Verde.
No,
Okay, well, that's right off the, okay. Sorry.
and I forgot to call out, there is a security camera, and the new ones are really cool. Because you can program the alerts based on people, cars, animals, and it works really, really well. It's really pretty remarkable.
So that would be one form of accountability in terms of number of guests and noise.
Yeah, and it is a 2-way communication. With sound alerts as well. If you get noise, movement, we can program it down to the section of like where a car might be. Maybe you're seeing the road, but you want to see if it's in the driveway. You can actually segment off that section and know that's someone who's actually at that property.
What brand of?
Arlo, ARLO.
Carol.
Skip, you said that the Williams are from Minnesota. Do they not live there? You know, if they neighbors live there.
They're part-time. They're part-time.
Bill.
Okay, I move that the planning commission recommend to the board of county commissioners that the Murphy's application for an STR be approved.
Mike is a second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Darrell.
Yes. There's no reason not to do
it. Mary.
I vote aye as well. I like that Charlie is, this company is managing it, you know, I think that they've done a good job with the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
I vote aye. I agree that Charlie has shown in the past that he knows what he's doing. And I think that they've done a good job of all the information they submitted.
Mike.
Aye, everything was met in the application.
Justin.
I think the location has a lot to do with it. In fact, there's not a lot of full-time residents to right off of the county maintained road. That says it's a good spot to be.
Bill.
Aye, the location is, like Justin pointed out, is good. There's county access on both sides. It isn't wooded at all. Maybe it's there are 3 trees on it or there's three trees on it, it's not, I don't think it's gonna be a big problem to the Williams to object it. But, their presentation led me to believe that they care about the people they're going to rent. And also there's local quasi owners in the county.
I vote aye. I think that the location is not in a heavily populated area. The neighborhood is still growing, so they'd be part of the growing neighborhood if they are part of the neighborhood. Their application was complete. And I believe that Charlie does a good job managing the properties that he manages. So, motion carries unanimously. We will recommend to the commissioners that they accept this application.
I can do that on the 16th in the Wetmore meeting.
It's not in Wetmore, it's gonna be here.
Oh, it's here, okay, thank
On the
you.
16th.
On the 15th? Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, talking about November?
Yeah, November 15th is a Tuesday,
Oh, okay.
so Wednesday. I'll check
I'm
with
looking at my
Jennifer.
calendar, I know that they don't have a Wetmore meeting.
You're right. I'll check with Jennifer to validate the date and I'll let you guys know. I'll send you a message.
Moved it to the 15th for full meeting.
No,
it's the
16.
It's the 15th?
No, it's the
16th.
Okay, so the next place you go is to the commissioners, and they will give you your final approval if that's their desire.
And that meeting's usually at 9 AM. You won't be first up, but I can kind of give you an idea when you'll be up, just looking at the agenda. You can attend in person or via Zoom.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, old business.
There was a change
Um,
in the agenda.
Marcy was wanting.
Oh, okay.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Nicole and Paul, my friends. Very well done. I have just a short message for the planning commission from Roger. I'm Marcy Gregg, if you don't know who I am, from Roger and myself. It says, Roger and myself would like to thank the planning commission and the BOCC for being willing to listen to the concerns of the neighbors during the consideration of the mid-horizontal short-term rental application last winter. We feel that it is important that the PC and BOCC realize that the use of Dr. Horizontal's property as an SDR would have infringed on the rights of the neighboring properties due to the unique geographical layout of Taylor Creek Highlands subdivision. We feel that each SDR application must be considered individually and that common sense should be used in determining its approval or denial in accordance with the regulations. Dr. Horizontal's application was denied and the property is now being used as a long-term rental. This seems to be a satisfactory solution for all involved. I just wanted to let you know that sometimes things turn out.
That's Martin. I have it. I can send that.
Thank you very much.
Right away here.
Okay, electronics better.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Well, down to old business, the status of the November short-term rental application.
Mr. Weber, I spoke to him several times on the phone. He has canceled his application or did cancel it and has since put his house on the market and the home has sold. Their decision was to do that based on the fact that they didn't feel that they would be very welcome in the neighborhood.
And which one was where it was last one? Last one's.
It was last month, so we approved ice and bites.
That was, you said,
No, wrap out
oh, okay.
and quicker.
Commissioner ruling on ice and ice short-term rental application.
That application was approved by the Board of County Commissioners.
What was the second one we did last month?
Yes.
Just got a boil from the face.
Yeah, it was,
Colgate,
Bill,
it was the Colgate relatives that had that, right?
Judge Jordan.
You mean the previous owners, the Eisenbachs purchased it in July,
Okay.
and they're out of Dallas. I don't know where they purchased from, it's a log cabin on money.
Yeah, yeah.
You started by Andrews.
Yes.
Now, one of the, people that spoke, one of the owners, first name was Sharon, and I believe her maiden name was Colgate. Yeah,
I know the Colgate family, but I don't know the property or something.
Okay, new business. Introduction of new planning and zoning.
I'd like to introduce you to Elena Crawford. She is our new planning and zoning clerk. She did come into the office and started helping me in the intern, on October 13th. I interviewed her and 2 other applicants for the job on October 22nd and offered Elena the job on this, October 31st at 5 p.m. I'd like to say welcome to Delana. She's been a great asset to me in the last few weeks, and I'm very happy to work with her.
Was she in Costin when you hired her on October 31st?
Say that again.
Was she in Costin when you hired her?
Yeah, the Hulk.
Just gotta find out who that is.
And she is a native of Custer County. I mentioned that as well. Welcome.
Okay. Second item of new business, new P and Z rate structure effective 1/1/2023.
In your packet, you will see the new approved, it was approved in the last county commissioner meeting. The new rate structure that will be effective January 1st. There are some changes in there. I also, in the front of your packet in the pocket, we put in the old rate structure, so you could pull it out and kind of take a look at it. I wasn't gonna necessarily go through every line item by line item, but I'm open to any questions that you may have. I did also propose with this, which was kind of a thinking out of the box kind of thing, where we would charge one rate for if you had been a county resident for so long, and a different rate if you were new to the county. And that was not accepted, and so we have come to an agreement to the rate structure sheet that you have in your packet. Mary.
And so that was approved at the last BOCC meeting, is it in their minutes then, so we don't have to. do
It
that?
should be in the minutes, yes. It's all good.
Thank you.
I was just sharing that with you, that it was something that we had done this past week. No,
I don't see the 2%. Is that in here?
It didn't change.
the 2% use tax,
Yes.
it's not on here. I'm going to add that, and we, can't remember exactly how we were gonna do that. I believe that I'm gonna add it on to the actual application itself. We do have it posted within the planning and zoning office, and we can get your permit at that time. It was not, we didn't put it as part of the rate structure. It wasn't new necessarily. It wasn't on the old rate structure either. It's something I can consider adding, if you guys feel that that might be a worthy add.
I just think in case someone sees this and walks in with it, or they're gonna wonder what that 3% is.
I can add that.
I don't know,
Yeah.
not a big deal, but it could.
I remember bringing that up, but honestly don't remember what the decision was, so I'll go back and take a look at that. Good point.
Third item, staff report.
As part of my staff report, I'd just like to make some comments or read something to all of you. It's my understanding that some of you do not necessarily agree with some of my recent decisions. I just want to take this opportunity to assure you that I have not made a single decision since I've taken my appointment as I've taken on this position without a lot of deep thought. I have not had the opportunity to have any training when I took my position. And I need to surround myself with people that are going to work with me in a constructive manner, offer solutions for the betterment of Custer County. My department and I are here to serve Custer County as we always have, as this department always has, and I want to make sure that I continue that. I just guess I want to say that I want to make sure that Custer County is a place that everybody wants to move to and live in and be happy from now and into the far future. I'd like to extend an invitation to any of you who would like to come in and get to know me. A few of you have, and I thank you for that. I don't know that in some cases we've had that opportunity, so I'd like to extend that option to you if you would like to. I believe that it's important for us to have a good working relationship. And so, I would also like to ask that when you are in my department or calling, that you do so with kindness and respect. I'm not one that believes in being rude is that it's going to get us very far. So I would just like to ask that of each of anybody calling into planning and zoning, whether you're part of the commission or a citizen. And I'd like to extend the opportunity for anybody in the county to come in and meet with me one-on-one if you have questions or concerns. Or if you just want to see where the department's going, I'd like to open that invitation up. A lot of people have come to me without an invitation for that, and it's been wonderful getting to know all of you, and I want to continue to do that. Thanks for listening to me. Again, I hope that we have the opportunity to build a strong working relationship going forward and into the future.
Can I make a comment, please?
Sure.
I just want to say, yesterday my husband said to me, how do you think the planning commission is going? And I said, you know what, Dorothy wants to do this with no training, no background, and she is a go-getter. She is going to figure it out. She's going to research it. She's going to present us what we need. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I received an email from one of the members of the Full Legal Ranch who used me as a sounding board for complaining about the planning and zoning office. We couldn't get any cooperation. And I kind of got tired. I had to explain whether I was the planning and zoning office. Anyway, he sent me this email on October 26th. And if I might just read it, his name, Gary Eastman, he's on the board of the For years, but it just says, just turned in the first claim of both BPR and county violations on a property owner to a new zoning. It is with surprise and much pleasure that we receive instant action from Ms. Custer. It appears that we finally have someone who will enforce the regulations that are written here at Eastwood. So we can make a good.
Thanks.
Good job there. I can take another minute, just, we have a guest here. We have Mr. Joe Barnes, this is a big part of the son. And he's moved to Custer County. And we should to see why how the legends we had put up with. I'm telling you, this is a good thing to come and see it and understand why his dad's like he was. So, good luck. Thank you.
We're further on there.
I did send you guys a copy, I can remember actually, if I gave you a copy at the time, but I thought I'd start adding that to the packet. It seems like month to month, we run pretty neck and neck with how we've been doing in the past years. We had 13 septic inspections last month, 2 special conferences, 15 compliance inspections, 5 violation reviews. And I did not administer any septic contractor tests. We were down in we came way up in our dwellings this month, so we were at 11 last year compared to this year, where we were at 11 last year and we're at 22 this year. Non-dwellings, whatever it's accessory buildings, barns, things like that, we were down. We were at 23 last year and 11 this year, so kind of just swamped. I was kind of surprised at all the dwelling permits that we issued this month, so we did it. Total, we were at 34 permits issued last year to 33 this year, so depending on the type of permit really makes a difference, and not necessarily the number this month, so. Just looking year to year so far, our total zoning permits, we were at 323 last year and we're at 294 this year. If you split to the next page, our revenue last year based on zoning permits were at 260,000, we're at 255. So we are down there. However, our overall revenue, if you jump down to total income, is up slightly. We were at 333 last year and we're at 328 this year. So happy and pleased to report that our revenue is at least maintaining itself. The use tax compared to, and I skipped over it, sorry about that. The use tax last year was $938 and this year we're at $13,440.
Well, but
Very nice to see.
you don't know how much of that, how much use tax came in the county clerk related bill.
I don't. That would be a Kelly Camper question.
Yeah.
I don't know that. And some of that stuff, they don't give out that information and some of it they do. So I don't know if that's something that I can get to report to you or not. That's a question that I have. How is the use tax distributed? Because all 3 areas have the same zip code. And I can't give an answer to that. So,
It's most of that from the 2%. Yeah, it has to be.
everything that we've collected so far is the 2%.
For the county, period.
Correct. I don't know how the Department of Revenue decides what portion, if it's collected, if it's not collected at the point of sale, what portion is given out to which entity, the county, West Cliff, and so forth. That I don't know. So far this month or this year, we've issued 129 permits compared to 141. Dwelling permits are right about the same as last year, 118 to 116. Non-dwelling, we're down. We were at 205 last year, and this year we're at 178, bringing our total
permits, zoning permits from 323 down to 294. And then the last page of this just kind of gives you for your reference, a month-to-month comparison, which I won't go through individually. But it's something for you to reference.
Okay, any questions about the staff report?
Is that too much information, not enough information? It may change when we switch to our new program. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but.
Okay, upcoming workshop.
The commissioners have asked me to schedule a workshop with the planning commission and the BZA to kind of go through our short-term rental process and a couple of other things, the use tax. There was one other thing, but off the top of my head, I can't think of what that specific thing was. Basically, they tasked me with going through the resolution and the homeowner's guide to make sure that the two are matching. One thing that I've noticed is that in some cases, our homeowner's packet may be telling somebody one thing and you look in the resolution and it could be read a different way. So I just want to make sure that what we're putting out there is accurate information and that both mirror each other. So I will be working on that between now and the 1st of December. And I hope that all of you will join us if possible for the workshop. It's at 9 a.m. on December 1st. I'll plan on bringing lunch. How's that? Maybe donuts.
We're gonna be there all day.
Yeah, maybe. I scheduled it 9 to 1 just in case. So hopefully it doesn't take that long. Whatever.
Can somebody send a reminder email
I will do that.
on that? Okay.
Linda, can you take a note?
Your problem.
I'll walk out the deck out door and go. I'm gonna remember something, I can't remember what it is.
And where would it be though? I'm not sure. Okay. The last one we had was in the commissioner's room. I have not had a chance, I just heard back from them that they were all three good with December 1st. I will check and see if we can have the courtroom. If not, it'll be in the BOCC boardroom.
What day are we?
Yeah, that's, we got it scheduled on Thursday and there's generally a court on
Yeah.
Thursday.
If we need to, I can try to get Lane Hall or some other place, but I think I guess what I'll do is send out an invite, and if you can all let me know if you can be there, then I'll know what room to try to obtain.
I think I'm helping keep Bill his hay on that. You can get me off of that all.
Is it open to the public?
It's gonna be open to the public, not for public comment,
Thank you.
is what they talked about. The public can be in there and listen to what's being discussed, but this is strictly between the BSCC and the planning commission.
It's wet, Marty. Well, I have to drive, we have to drive this, you know, if it snows, it goes both ways. Come here. That's something?
Yeah, I've driven up here.
Okay, any questions about the workshop? Okay, planning and zoning compliance issues.
I've served 2 cease and desist on properties that were using outhouses. One I've heard back from, and they have dismantled the outhouse and all is well, so I've allowed them to return back. I just talked to the gentleman on the phone this morning with pictures. I talked to him Saturday. I believe he called me on my cell phone.
Is this the one in Gold?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that is all cleared up.
very good.
The other one I have not.
But I have a question, that it's man of the mountain, the outhouse, where they now using?
They have the septic system there. They do not actually have a dwelling, and
They've been camping.
they've assured me that, yeah, they will not be used, that they never did use the outhouse. It was just there when they purchased the property. I can't tell one way or another, other than the smell when I was out there, so.
You can smell
Yeah.
it. Okay.
They do have a septic
set up. They have 3 or 4 campsites set up, but they're telling me they're not renting that out. And I've gotten a letter from the guy saying, gentleman saying that they do not rent them out. It's just for family use. But all of those campsites or it's just little gravel areas are set up to dump into the septic system. And I've let him know what the rules were about camping on your land. We went through all that, and I'm gonna send him the actual copy of that portion of the resolution as well. So he has it.
It's called glamping, isn't it?
Yeah. I have not heard back from the other gentleman, but I'm sure that will come. That's really the two major complaint. Oh, an update on the, can I go ahead? I'm sorry. The update on the potential hemp grow. I know that they're proceeding with building the greenhouse. I did go out there. I don't remember if I reported that last month or not, but I did go out there and there was reports of them using a camper out there. I let them know that their camper needed to be removed because they did not have septic put in or have it attached to one, as well as they needed to get a chemical toilet out there for their workers. I have not been back out there since that time.
We brought that up to Terry Skanga. It has been alluded that they might try to augment water using Upper Arkansas. And that is not the case, okay, because there's no way in hell that they can. So
They have a huge water issue.
they have a huge water issue, and those people have a huge issue if they start hauling it.
Yes.
So anyhow, I don't know how they plan on growing something with water.
And I plan on this week extending an invitation for them to come do a kind of an overview with Keith and myself, just to talk about, they need to get a SUP put in so that we can take a look at it from that standpoint, but they have so far not accepted that invitation or filled out the application.
They're going to get with fees and everything else.
Well, they haven't started anything other than building, and they've got their building permits, so.
So,
A lot of money betting on the common.
Yeah.
so the only thing they could run into is water issue, because they could plant the hemp without coming to us. I mean, that's an agricultural product. And so until they start processing that hemp, when they start processing it, then they would be in violation.
Then it becomes commercial.
All right.
But they're not gonna have any hemp with no water.
Well, that's what they're gonna run into first, right? I mean, they could grow it. And we wouldn't have anything to get out of it. Water poison, but
Well, yeah. They can't use their well. They can haul it in. And the neighbors had a valid concern about that.
This whole thing's gonna injure everyone.
Yeah.
They're going through a whole pile of steps that is gonna be fruitless at the very end.
Yeah.
And so you can't fix stupidity, so if they don't spend the money and keep going, well,
Yeah.
they can, but there's not gonna be any result.
Right.
Without water, the hemp turns to hurt.
yeah. Okay, anything further on that?